Thanks for stopping by No Hippie Barbecue. A couple weeks ago I did a braised oxtail recipe, and one of my subscribers by the name of Doug sent me one of his recipes he likes to use with beef short ribs. The recipe is pretty close to my oxtail recipe with just a few minor changes. I did take his recipe and then just change it up just minimally, so we're going to be doing that today. Takes a little bit of prep work to get this done, but once you get it done, it's basically in the oven doing its thing, and then when it's done in about 3.5 to 4 hours, you are good to go. Anyway, before we get putting this together, come on in and take a look at these ingredients. Before we get into everything that you're going to need to put this dish together, I do want to let you know that all the ingredients and amounts will be in the description below. So first, we're going to list all of these ingredients, and I'm going to let you know any changes that I made from Doug's recipe that he sent me. First thing we have are some beef ribs. They're already seasoned with salt and pepper. We have lime juice, garlic. Lemongrass was one of his additions to his recipe. We have ginger. Now, my oxtail recipe, I cut my ginger a little thinner. And when I was eating it, I realized that this stuff cooks down really good and it tastes good when you're done. So I did cut those a little bit thicker. We have oranges, which was in his recipe as well. I can't believe I didn't add cilantro to my last recipe. I try to find anything I can to add cilantro to, and that was one of his ingredients. We have some cilantro. We have Chinese cooking wine, brown sugar. I am using Splenda brown sugar, just trying to watch carbs a little bit on that. Soy sauce. In his recipe, he had mentioned using quartered onions. I'm using whole shallots, and these are going to be hopefully like little flavor bombs when this is done. We have jalapenos, which are cut, and they're not cut thinly. I want those to be a little thick, so they're cut like that. And then I have some green onions that have been cut about 4 inches long. I will be using water as needed as well. Those are our ingredients. Now all we need to do is start hooking it up. So the first thing we're going to want to do is brown off these ribs, and we're just going to do it on all sides that have meat. So now that we have our second batch of ribs all browned up, we're going to remove these, just set them aside. Now to bring out some of the flavor and some of these other ingredients, we're going to throw in our Dutch oven and just kind of toss them around a little bit. So that's our garlic, our ginger, our lemongrass, and our jalapenos. We're just going to cook this for about 2.5 to 3 minutes. So we've let that cook for 3 minutes. Now we're going to add our brown sugar. Just stir this in. And our wet ingredients. So we're going with our soy sauce, our rice wine vinegar, and our lemon or lime juice would work either way. And we can just go over it with our orange slices. Now the beauty of this recipe, when these orange slices get cooked down, they're almost candied. You can eat the rind and all. Okay. Let's get our ribs back in. Now these shallots are going to cook down really well during this cook. Our cilantro. and our green onions, and I'm going to add just enough water to cover these ribs about halfway. And we will mix this in about halfway through the cook. We're gonna throw this in the oven right now at 375 degrees, and we're gonna let it go for an hour and a half. In an hour and a half, I'm gonna pull the ribs out, we're gonna flip them over, and then we're gonna mix all this stuff that's on top into the sauce. So I'll see you back in an hour and a half. So we are an hour and a half in. I'm gonna remove all these ribs just for a second. Set them off to the side. And I just wanted to get everything kind of mixed in. Now I'm going to add our ribs back in. Try to remember what side I had up. All right, good to go. Going back in for another hour and a half, and these should be a done deal after that. So guys, here's what we're looking like after 3 hours. You can tell that these beef ribs are extremely tender. That meat could just pull right off that bone if I wanted to. As far as the sauce goes, I'm gonna let this sit for a while. The collagen that was in the bones is gonna kind of thicken up this sauce a little bit. If you'd like it even thicker, go ahead and add a little bit of cornstarch and water to it, and that should thicken it right on up. So I'm gonna let this sit for about 10 minutes, and then we'll plate up. I'm gonna be plating this on some cauliflower mash, which should go great with this. So that's what it looks like all plated up. Now trust me, I'm gonna put more sauce on it than was in that picture, but let's just get in and see what it tastes like. Like I said, this meat fall off the bone. Got some of this cauliflower mash on here. Awesome. Listen, I'm telling you, I like the oxtails a lot. I think I even like these a little bit better. Now, what I did do is I set aside a piece of jalapeno. Just want to taste that. Still has some heat, kind of like it's candied a bit. A little bit of this ginger. Like I said, you can go ahead and eat the ginger. Reap all them health benefits. You know, that flavor, it's really deep in there. And these little, I'm gonna call them onion bombs, even though they're shallots. These things, I've already ate a couple of those. Incredible. As far as the cauliflower mash, very simple recipe. Just cooked it in a pressure cooker 35 minutes with some roasted garlic, some cream cheese, butter, salt, pepper, and it's a wrap. Anyway, listen, I'd like to thank you guys for stopping by No Hippie Barbecue. I appreciate it. Comment, subscribe, and I'm out.